Welcome to Forged in the Fires podcast with Fireman Rob. Being a fireman, father, veteran, husband, world record holder, and Ironman, he brings stories of experience to impact your life while challenging you to live it. What do you want from your life? Why do you want it? Are you willing to go through the challenges to get there? If you have the courage to take that first step, let this podcast be the catalyst to start your fire while you bring the resilience to make it continue to burn. Our lives are made up of moments called right nows. So let's get started. Forged in the Fires podcast with your host, Fireman Rob, begins now.
All right, welcome back to Forged in the Fires podcast. I'm your host, Fireman Rob. Today's guest, I have to say, I'm completely and utterly honored to have this gentleman on here today. He's the epitome of work hard, and this is what you can get. Major General Beagle, great to have you on today, sir.
Hey, Rob, it's great to be on with you, and I consider it just as much as an honor as you do. So this is an awesome way to start the day. We got a good PT session in, good run in this morning, and better way to start off than with a good conversation after that.
I love it. And going back, it was great reading your bio, and that you're a great grandson of a World War II veteran, Walter Beagle. How cool is that to have your family be part of the military and be part of this great honor to be able to serve and protect what everybody values so much? Yeah,
so it's cooler when you know about it, right?
Right.
One thing I tell folks is, he was World War I, and my great-grandfather, he lived to, be in his 90s. So I knew him up until I was about 15 years old, would spend, time over there. But he never talked about it, never, raised a single point, never had a single piece of paraphernalia or anything like that around the house. And then as he passed away, and as I, later joined the Army, my family would start telling me, it's like, your great-granddad was in World War I. And I'm like, no, I didn't know that. And so, long story short, I get to Fort Jackson, South Carolina to command there. And by that point, I'd found his records and pulled some stuff up online, and I just had my historians look it up. And I said, all I really want to know is that, Grandpa, he served well. He didn't get an Article 15 or a chapter or something like that.
Yeah,
so that's all I want to know. But and they kept digging, and sure enough, they came back and said, well, he, records clean, immaculate. He deployed to France and found, even more data than I could even imagine. But it was ironic that he went there where I commanded to do his basic training and then later deployed, and, all under segregation umbrella, and just pretty surreal to be there every day and kind of walk the same ground that he'd walked. And, we never once had a conversation about it.
And thinking from the perspective of, if he could see you where you are now and the accomplishments that you're doing, and really kind of going in those same boots and getting to the level you are, what do you think he would say? What do you think he would feel about that?
He was not a man of many words. I think he would say good job,
Right.
and that would be probably the extent of it. But I think he would be very proud, because somebody did ask me that question once. And I think when you're there under the umbrella of segregation and things that he wasn't allowed to do. I mean, as a black soldier back then, you weren't allowed to serve in the infantry. Very, very few were in any type of leadership position. And so to bring him back, I mean, I told somebody that asked me that question a long time ago, I really wouldn't tell him anything. I would just show him, just kind of walk him around, and just look at the diversity of our Army, look at our team, look at the integration, just a lot of things that he would see. I think that would absolutely, bring him to tears, and a lot of words wouldn't be needed.
I love that, because I think, and having served it, it's one of those things where everybody stands shoulder to shoulder, and you don't see that. You just go and do your job. And what does it mean to you to be able to command those troops and see the next generations of Americans come out and say, you know what, I want to serve. This is the one quote that I saw that you said, being a soldier is not a job, it's a calling. And what we get the privilege to do for our nation is awesome. What does it feel like to be that commander, to be able to have those troops feel that feeling?
Yeah, I got goosebumps when you read that back to me. I mean, still to this day, because it truly is a privilege. I mean, in terms of, just what we get to do, even the simple thing I started with, going out to work out. And I said it to a group the other day. I said, we get paid to get up and work out every day. I said, the amount of people that pay to go to a gym, we do that for free. That's part of the job, and we get paid to do it. Different places you get to go, and not all the circumstances are great, but you get to see the world, all these different things, meet new people every single day, just like we're doing right now, and we get paid to do it. It's absolutely phenomenal, and you serve your country, and to see those young kids that come in, and they're part of 0.04%. I remind them all of that. You're in a very small percentage that serve, our nation. And oh, by the way, thank you for your service and sacrifice to our nation as well. And knowing that they want to serve a purpose bigger than themselves. Because when you take the oath, as you know, you're taking up you're serving a purpose much larger than yourself. And I think, anybody, whether they come in for college money or something else, when they hear the words of the oath and your right hand's up in the air, it starts to get surreal, in terms of what you're about to do. And but they do it, they know it, and they follow through. And it's just a privilege to truly, lead them. And we always refer to them as our nation's sons and daughters. And you have to look at them every day as like, my sons are soldier, those are my kids. I mean, you have to look at it that way.
I love that. And that's what you want in leadership. I think that's one of the biggest things. And, being in the 10th mountain, that's not an easy division to be in. And I think I love your guys' motto is cold is what we do, mountain is who we are.
Yeah.
In Wisconsin, I can understand the cold, but not the mountain.
Yeah. I mean, it is a condition, and I mean, not a condition, but it's our occupation. And you really have to have a certain mindset, a certain level of grit. I mean, as you know, kind of growing up in a cold weather place, and we all have it. I mean, you can't escape the cold. I mean, that's the beauty of it. I mean, whether you just have to run out to your car and get to work, I mean, you're not escaping it. And it does. It requires a certain level of grit, and to be here, and the amount of deployments that the division is made over time and continues to make, through today is just phenomenal. I mean, being the most deployed division, we always have soldiers going somewhere around the globe, and just that cohesion it brings, that culture it brings. The other reference we use for ourselves is the blue collar division.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, and when you talk to soldiers, I mean, it's not a lot of fanfare. Just kind of pack your lunch pail and put on your hard hat, go to work, and get the job done. I mean, it's awesome place to be.
I love that. Now, when, a lot of people don't understand, they see it when people get deployed to the big events and the big conflicts, and they don't understand that, we have soldiers deployed pretty much most of the time. And like you're saying, the 10th mountain is always out there. What does it take on, or what, I guess you could say, what does it take away from those individuals that are always deployed or going deployed? I think people fail to understand like the power of those families and the power of the unit to be able to help these individuals not only deploy but come home. What does that put on you as well as the commander? Yeah,
I wouldn't say it puts a lot of weight. I mean, it's just an understanding, and that extends to our community. I mean, and our community around us, and then the extended community, they get it. They really understand it, because it does. It takes a lot of support, one, to get the soldiers deployed, and then for those that stay behind, their families and kids, you have to take care of them, and take care of them in such a way that, that soldier can focus on what they have to do and whatever mission's in front of them, and not really worry. And that's where you see a lot of the unit activities. I mean, units do a lot of different things. Installation does a lot of different things just to keep, I wouldn't say keep them occupied, but to make sure they have fun, healthy things to do, things they can enjoy, and hopefully allow them to pass the time a little bit quicker. Because when you're deployed, I mean, the time goes by like really, really quick. But when you're left back behind, time, it just seems like it's just, you can track it with a sundial.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So, even speaking on that, the self-leadership that you have to teach these individuals, and a lot of them, I remember going through basic, a lot of these 18-year-olds and some 17-year-olds, training that self-leadership, that they have to take that accountability, have the honor, have the integrity in situations that they may never have been in before. What does that process look like? And what did it look like for you when you started?
Yeah, it's definitely a growth and a maturation process like none other. I mean, if you ask the brand new soldier and having spent 3 years in the basic training environment, I'd always ask at the end, what was the hardest thing? And they would say, just getting used to other people. And especially this generation, and it is a little bit of a significant emotional event when they have to now get used to, talking to people face to face, and I don't have my phone and all those things.
Zoom in. You can't zoom in for basic training.
Yeah, you can't Zoom, can't FaceTime it, and but they grow, and it's through the hardships, every day. And for them, I mean, the simplest thing, just going out and doing physical training in the morning or doing a 5-mile, foot march, that difficult, time for them, that significant event, it brings that cohesion. It starts that growth. And then that time to think in their mind, this is something I can actually do. And that's what you want to see. And one question I would love to ask is, what would you do if you knew you would not fail?
Oh, wow.
And the answer is, you do everything, right? I mean,
right.
you parachute, you paraglide, you do whatever, because you knew you weren't going to fail. But because we put that barrier in front of ourselves, like, I might fail, I don't want to try it. And I said, you can never fail to try it. That's the one thing you've got to keep in mind. You can try and fail, but never fail to try it. That's where, I'm going to have issues with you.
Right.
Everybody else is probably going to have issues with you, but always try. I mean, you're going to fail at a lot of things, but you can never stop trying.
Yeah. And I love that. You can never fail to try. I like that really leads to having, it's so hard to put people into situations because, war or conflicts or anything like that. It's not something that you can emulate in training, right?
Right.
And so being able to have people prepared to believe, to have that faith in, your leadership, as well as the leadership that's on the front lines. What is that? How do you manifest that with your troops? Yeah,
it's something that you'll be very familiar with. I mean, being a firefighter, it's about repetitions. I mean, you do things over and over and over. That's going to breed, competence, and then that competence is going to breed confidence, and that confidence is going to breed mastery. And we have to get them over the hurdle of, you just got to do this over and over and over again. And with you can't get bored. You can't say, well, this is routine or mundane. But those reps are going to just continue to build, and it's going to take you to the next level. And I think when they see that, that competence starts to build, that confidence starts to build, and then they can master whatever they do. And I am blown away every single day. When I was up in the air the last couple of weeks, in our UH-60, a Black Hawk, and a Chinook, the big double rotor. Yeah. And you come down and you look, and there's like young privates, young specialists that work on these things.
Yeah.
And you're like, but they've got the reps, they got the confidence, they know exactly what they're doing, and they can see that bird lift off the ground or, watch weapons fire, but they've done the work, and these, soldiers are, very young, and the pride that they have in it, you're like, all that comes together. If you do your job, the infantryman is doing their job, they can shoot, they can knock down targets, the artilleryman can put, what we call steel on target when you need it.
Yep.
And everybody does their piece, but it starts with the reps. You just got to do it over and over to such a point you can't get it wrong. It's not you do it so many times you get it right. You do it so many times you just can't get it wrong, regardless of what the situation is. And that really starts it all.
It's like waking up and brushing your teeth.
Yeah, you can't screw that up.
You can't. I've seen my kids try to do it, but they haven't screwed it up yet.
As hard as they try, right?
Right, exactly. And you're a father, correct?
Yeah. So oldest son is a captain in the Army, and our youngest is a senior in college. So we've got the two, and we've got we're recent grandparents. I'll say about 6 months into it. So we've got one little granddaughter now, which is pretty awesome.
What does that feel like? Because you have your kids, your family in the military, and then you have your family at home. How hard is that to be able to balance? But at the same time, how rewarding is it to be able to show? I mean, you have a captain. I mean, that's amazing. How rewarding is it to be able to have both of those?
Yeah, it is very rewarding, but I mean, it speaks more to our profession and what we do. I mean, I thought, my wife thought that our boys would want nothing to do with the military. And you think about their upbringing. I mean, our oldest went to 10 different schools in 12 years. Our youngest went to 11 different schools in 12 years. So all the moving and PCS moves, all those things, you're like, they're not going to want anything to do with the military. And even my wife, I mean, her father's a retired command sergeant major. And the one thing that she'd said, she told me, after we're married, of course, she said, I'd never marry a soldier. And lo and behold, we've been married 31 years.
Well, you're a special soldier, that's for sure.
Well, she's a special woman to put up with me. But I think it's just the culture, that they see growing up. So, I mean, I give a lot of credit to that. And it is the balance piece. And when people ask me, hey, sir, how do you balance? And I said, there is no balance when you serve our nation. There is none. I said, you can gain some harmony, but you're not going to get balance. Because, I mean, that to me means all things are equal. But when you're spending, 12, 13 hours a day at work, or you're deployed, you can't make that up. You can't balance the books on that one after the fact. But given the time that you have, if you spend, your time at work, which is going to be quite a bit, and for great reason, but then the time you have left, if you're spending that quality time with family, then it's going to pay off. And that's what I'm most proud of. That to us is paid off at the end of the day, because you can't really split the time, with your family, because you're going to have so little of it, over the course of your career.
Right. That's such a powerful statement that you said. It's hard, almost impossible to have balance, but you can have harmony. And I think that's so powerful, not only for people in the military or in the first responder community, but also people that are just, in the business or kids, because everybody tries to find that balance, and it's not there.
Yeah. It's none to be found. I mean, if you're working, like 10 hours a day, and you're sleeping 6 of that, I mean, where's the balance? I mean, you're never going to reconcile that.
Yeah, there's no mathematical equation that works for that one.
None, and I'm not very good at math, Rob, but I tell you, it don't work for this guy.
All you got to do is count up to 10. That's the key.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah, you were talking about Chinooks earlier, and my son's actually a sophomore in high school, and he's set on the path to do high school to flight school, so he's excited about that.
Oh man, you've got to get him up here or something.
Oh, I would love that. He's got a whole wall of patches, and like you were saying, the honor and the pride and everything. It's like he has a whole wall of patches, and it's so cool to see. And that's why I was so excited to talk with you, because it's so amazing to see individuals like yourself who have commanded. I mean, think of the number of. Have you ever thought of this? The number of people that you have commanded, and then their children and their children. The legacy that you have created. Have you ever thought about that legacy that you're putting in there, not just in your family, but in other people's families? Yeah.
Sometimes you try not to, because I mean, it would be overwhelming to count, over 32 years, the levels of command, the amount of people, it would be scary. But the glimpses that I do reflect on and think about, I mean, this story will intrigue you. I mean, one of my soldiers, when I was a young captain, fast forward, his son comes to basic training, goes through basic training. He shows up, and I always kind of get it wrong in terms of describing it, because it sounds a little bit confusing. So you have the dad there that I commanded, his son that I'm, essentially also command because he was in the basic training environment, and the drill sergeant. But the dad was the drill sergeant of his son's drill sergeant.
Are you kidding?
No. Yeah.
Wow.
So I was hoping you picked that one up, because every time I explain it, it gets confusing. And so the dad came back and had his drill sergeant hat and gave it to, his son's drill sergeant. And all those connections between us, you're like, holy cow. I mean, it's just amazing. And you think about little snapshots in time, but if I were to think deeply, it'd be overwhelming.
It'd be overwhelming, but that's amazing. That's I think, and this is a hard one, but what would one thing that you would say to Americans, just anybody, about soldiers, about the troops, that they can take away and really think about? Because I think it's so hard for me. I know, people are very excited when big events happen, and they're like, "Oh, we appreciate you." But soldiers don't just appear when there's big events. They're soldiers every single day. What would be something that you could say to Americans to just have them remember and honor those individuals who took that oath?
Yeah, and I'm glad you said oath, because I'll use something that's not original, it's not mine, but our chairman, General Milley, said it when he was the chief of staff of the Army, and I was in the room when he said it, and people almost they inhaled and they never exhaled after he said it. And when you think about what he said, it was so true but so powerful. And he said, when soldiers, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, Coast Guard, when we take that oath, because we all take that oath, we write a blank check payable to the American public with up to our lives.
Wow.
And he paused, and the air in the room just went away. Because when you think about it, it's like that's exactly what all service members do when they take that oath. I mean, they're serving a higher purpose, and to deploy and go into combat. That will cost some in making the ultimate sacrifice. But when they took the oath, they knew that going into it, and that is something I think the American people should always be very mindful of. Is like when they're taking that oath, it's not to a president, a potentate, a king or queen. It's to an idea and a set of ideals, which is our Constitution, and they we will give up our lives for that, and that is us representing and defending our nation and the public that we serve.
I got chills. You just took the breath out of me too. That is so powerful, and it's such an amazing thing to be able to think about. Just like how individuals like yourself, how many more years do you think you have in you?
Well, I know, given my next job with that, the Army will give me 3 more. After that, then they can tell you, hey, get off the bus or stay on for a little bit longer. So I've got more career behind me than I do ahead of me. And
there you go.
That is pretty finite, and I don't take anything for granted. But at least with a move like this and a different change in job and rank, it'll get you 3 more if you don't screw it up. So at least I know I have that, and that's as far as I'll push it.
I love it. And what does it mean to you to be able to get to that major general position? That's not something that's just given to anybody. It's given to individuals that have shown and proven their leadership abilities. And also, it's an honor to have that. What does that mean to you to be able to get to that position? Yeah, it truly is. I mean, I hate to use the word, continue to use the word privilege, but it is a privilege, because there's so many that don't make it that could replace you in a heartbeat. And we just promoted one of our colonels to brigadier general last week, and I told like his family there and friends, and I said 2% make it to that point. I said out of roughly 1,500 colonels, only 2%, about 40 or so, are going to make it to that next level. But you have well over 400 of that group that are equally as qualified, have done the exact same things, same work ethic, same intellect, you name it, but you just happen to make that cut. And that's what we do all the time. And I use the analogy of a football roster. I said, there's 53 on a football team, 54, doesn't make it, but 54 is probably as good as anybody on the roster. And right. And it's always about, being very fortunate and blessed and appreciative that you make that cut, but you've got to play hard every single day. And that's what gets you there. So that is something to personally feel satisfied about, because as long as you're going out, you're playing hard every day, playing for the team, not playing above the team, then chances are, hopefully, and still a little bit of hope, that you'll make that cut. You're like, in Wisconsin, you're like the Brett Favre. the guy that goes out there constantly, gives everything, and makes it adaptations, Yeah. I know that you're from South Carolina, so I don't know if that actually equates, but
no, it does. I love Brett, and I watched Brett play for a long time, and through trades and getting hurt, and when people thought he was down and out, I mean, he just come out and play. I mean, he would always leave it. One thing you knew about Brett, it was always going to be left on the field, and I use that analogy a lot. Is once you do that, you have no regrets. So when you walk off the field, I mean, and I can't speak for Brett Favre, don't know him, but I'm pretty sure every game he walked off the field, it was all left there. I mean, he truly, you could see it in his play. he left it all on the field.
I love it. Well, sir, it has been an absolute honor and privilege to have you on today. I always end with three questions. So are you ready for those questions?
All right, I'm ready.
All right. If you could go back to your 18-year-old self and tell yourself one thing, what would it be?
One thing, always quit tomorrow. Never quit.
I like that.
Never quit.
I just wrote that down. I like that one. I like that one a lot. All right. So, a lot of people are going through challenges and struggles, and it's just a constant thing that we go through. But what would be two things that you would say incorporate in as a habit into their lives daily, whether it be in the morning or the evening? Two things that they should incorporate into their life to continue to move forward.
Yeah, I would. These are two things that I do. I mean, one, reflect. So reflect every day. Either I read something, I read like a little, positive quote every day, and then journal something, down. And then the other thing is, count the 3 good things every single day. There are 3 great things that happen every single day you wake up. Number one is waking up. I mean, like we started with, right? You wake up, you're breathing, you're vertical. That's number one is down. Even if you make it safely to work, that's number 2. Because that doesn't happen, to everybody across the nation every day. Just the very simple things, it's a good thing. I mean, one bad thing may happen, but when it does, we get stuck on that, and we'll get stuck on that for a week. I can give you a lottery ticket for $1,000, and you're still stuck on what happened last week. You just can't get over it.
Right. That's so true. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, this last one's fun. This last one's fun, and I think I can imagine which one person that you would probably pick. But if you could have coffee at a firehouse table, so in other words, you can ask anything and everybody will answer the questions. If you could have coffee with 3 people, deceased or alive, who would they be and why?
Well, my great grandfather would be number 1.
Yep, I knew that one.
Yeah, I definitely put him there. Number 2. I heard somebody say this, and I'm not saying it to be funny, but it would be amazing. I mean, Jesus.
We've had that answer before.
Think about that. I mean, so
it
would be number. Yeah, that would be amazing. Number 2, number 3. It would be hard to pick. Which one of my grandparents. Not great grandparents, because I grew up very close to all of my grandparents. But I think my grandma. If I could, bring her back and talk to her a little bit, that would just be phenomenal.
I love it. Well, sir, it's been an absolute honor to have you on, and I can definitely see why your leadership, a lot of troops and a lot of people have to be very honored to be underneath your command. So appreciate your time today, sir.
Rob, thank you very much. And I appreciate you as well and what you do. And, if you need anything from me down the road, please don't hesitate to let me know.
I appreciate that. Have a good one.
Thank you. You as well. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening and supporting the Forged in the Fires podcast with Fireman Rob. Remember, don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast, and please share this episode with a friend or family. To find out more about Fireman Rob or reach out about a question, go to www.firemanrob.com. Until next time, live your life forged in the fires.